This conference will now be recorded.
Alrighty, we're going to call the meeting to order at 6:01, and it is Wednesday, March the 23rd. Number 2 on the list here is virtual meeting best practices, so everybody I'm sure has read those, so we're not going to go through them. Number 3, items of community interest. We've got the annual Easter egg hunt coming on April the 9th. We've got here that all city offices will be closed Friday, April the 15th for Good Friday. We've got the volunteer appreciation dinner on April the 30th at the end of this month. And then we have a presentation, but Kevin is not here. So we'll pass on by that until
Pardon me, Randall. I have a question before you go forward.
I can't understand you, but go ahead.
I want to know if I'm a regular meeting tonight, or a regular member tonight, or an alternate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like looks like we have 2 members missing. Is that right? 2 regular members? Or 1 regular member, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 regular member?
Kevin's missing, and
Yes,
the beekeeper guy. What is his name again?
Okay, we're gonna. Did we get that answered now? Y'all hold on just a second. Steven's trying to work on this sound. Okay, while Steven is working on that, we're going to go ahead and go to number 4. Discuss, consider, and act, approve the meeting minutes for January the 26th. Kathleen, did you have a chance to go through them?
Yes.
But Randall, you didn't make a determination. Am I a regular member tonight?
Yeah, so I think it's on Trish's side. I don't know if ask Ruthie if she can talk. See if it's
Okay, y'all hold on just a second. The answer is yes, you're voting.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Okay, Ruthie, can you
Yes,
speak?
sir.
Okay, we can hear Ruthie. Stephen, speak, please. Alanese.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I can hear you too. Okay. So Tricia, it's on your side. It's really bad. I don't know what's going on, but we can just barely make out what you're saying. So just be aware of that if we don't understand what you're saying. All right, we're going to move on then to the, like I said, number 4. Does anybody have any additions or any problems with the minutes from January the 26th? Okay, I don't see anything.
I move that we accept the January 26, 2022 regular minutes.
All right, do I have a second? Okay, John seconded. So all in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Steve, are you in favor or not in favor? I don't know whether he can hear us. Stephen, I was asking you if you're in favor of the minutes as they were printed. Oh, okay. All right, so did you hear me, Steve? Stephen Alanese? Oh, okay. Okay, so are you in favor of the minutes being recognized as they were? Yes, okay, he nodded. So finally, okay, so we're all together on that one. Okay, we're going to move to the presentation. Uh, Kevin, would you come up here, please?
Randall, this is Trish again. If Kevin is here, then is he going to participate? So then that means that you have all 7
Yes,
members here?
everyone tonight votes. We have
Who's
the people
missing?
that are here and the people that are on the video conference. Everybody votes, okay?
Kevin is no longer on the board, Trish. This was a recognition of his service, so you are still voting.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you, Kevin. We couldn't hear the presentation, but thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, so we're gonna, let's see. We voted on number 4. It approved. So discuss, consider, and act regarding the financials for January of 2022. So let's talk about that one first, and then we'll go to the February one. Does anybody have any issues or any questions? Thad, do you have anything you want to say?
I would, since it's always aggregated, and I'll answer questions on the next one, but again, as I always say, the sales taxes will fluctuate, but as long as this construction continues, we likely will see this continue to roll in like it has been. Again, 85% of our projected budget through a third of the year is pretty good. So, and again, it's even better the next month.
Okay, does anyone else on the board have any questions? Have any issues that we need to resolve or anything like that? John, you don't have anything? Okay. All righty, we're gonna, I would like to get a motion to approve the January financials.
I move we approve the January 2022 financial report as presented.
All right, do we have a second?
I second.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second to approve the January 2022 financials. I'm going to ask for a raising of hands as to approval. Okay, what about? Hey, Steve, do you approve? Yeah, okay, good. Now we got it. All right, so it's unanimous, they're approved. Let's move on to the February 2022 financial report. You got anything for us on that?
Again, if you look at the budget for sales tax, you were already, we're less than 50% through the year, and we've already collected.
I think we lost his audio.
I did. I must have hit it. I've been spending a lot more time. My office has moved back over to City Hall, so y'all know I was cheap before. I'm now actually spending out of some other budgets as well. So I won't spend it unless I need to. So I'll keep those expenses low so you have money to spend.
So you're saying you're a multi-spender?
I'm a little bit of everywhere. I'm not as round town as David is, but I'm in a lot of places a lot of time.
Okay, does anyone have any question about the February financial report? Anyone out there on the video conference have any questions? Okay, looks like everybody's saying no. All right, I'll entertain a motion for the February financials.
I make a motion to accept the financials for 2022.
Okay, Trish, what do you want?
I'll second it.
You'll second. Okay, Patricia seconds it. All in favor? Okay, good. We're done with that, unanimous. Okay, discuss, consider, and act HCEDC resolution number XX 2022. Okay. Oh, this is on the sale of property. Which property is that, Thad?
This is Haslett Feed.
Haslett
It
Feed.
actually got to closing, and the title company requires a form like this. Didn't matter about all the other passages of votes or anything else. They were looking for a resolution. So we ran this by our attorneys as well as the title company, and this does meet their form. So this simply states that Randall can sign all the documents, and the sales price is $230,000 to Miss Annette Lee, and it basically just formalizes all the actions y'all have already taken in resolution form.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion from someone to do that.
I move that we approve resolution number XX2022, authorizing the sale of the property located at 100 Main Street.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have second. Does anybody have any further things to say about this before we vote on it? Okay, I'll take that as no. All in favor? Raise your hand, and it's unanimous. Okay. Let's move on to number 7. Kathleen, you got anything to tell us there?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay. Mai Tai had not paid March's rent. Did they do that today, Katrina? She was supposed to get it over there by 5 o'clock. You didn't see it. All right. Then let me talk about Mai Tai. I talked with her today, and she would like us, this is her idea that she would like to do. She wants to pay, she doesn't want to go through a bank right now. So she wants to pay $160,000 down cash, and then within 12 months, pay the balance. What do y'all think? What did you say? Oh, it's what, 220?
I think this is a question for the legal department, honestly.
Well, first I'd like to know, have y'all got any qualms about it before we send it to the legal department?
I don't have any problem with that, as long as we have it. There's a special contract we have
Yes.
to do for that.
And again, we would run that if the board, all y'all have to do is provide direction, not a vote, and then I can run that through legal and bring it back next time.
And then we can vote
if
on it?
that, yes, sir.
Okay. Does anybody else have any ideas on that? I'm okay with that as long as we have the proper documentation.
And it's going to have stipulations that the property comes back to us if she doesn't meet her obligations?
Oh, certainly. That's a standard contract. So I don't think anybody has a problem with that, Thad. Let's move forward with that. Let's get an appropriate contract. With all the failure information and everything in it. Okay. Does anyone else have any, oh, let's see, Kathleen, you still probably have some more, don't you?
I wanted to discuss the Ritzenberger property. That's the property next to Big Jim, Mr. Big Joe's.
Stephen, would you pull that graphic up? They
Pull
actually
it
did
up.
email.
Anyways, that's that empty lot, and we had discussed making that a park. And Thad, were you checking into that?
Stephen's going to pull it up and it'll come up on your screens. This is a preliminary layout design. Oops, or not. Did you break it?
Yeah, it's blinking.
Little teeny- So that is the layout. The questions we have before we finalize this and go to bid so that we can get a price for y'all is the materials between the house and the parking lot that we're talking about here. It needs to at least be masonry posts or, brick posts with paneling of some time, but in between, or 100% masonry. So again, that's a cost driver. And the question is, what do you want to do there? And
Well,
how, do we want to bid it two ways? Do we want an ad alternate?
Let me ask you this. Since it's a parking lot, how high does this have to be?
We have it at 5-foot screening buffer, but we want to make sure the headlights aren't shining into. Yeah.
Oh,
Is it 6?
yeah, the buffer.
What's the buffer?
5 foot back.
Okay. Oh, that's that's the buffer between the fence and that's to make sure people don't back into it, John. But they will.
But
But
well,
6 feet tall is what it is currently designed between us and the house next door.
but not all the way around.
No, only between the residential. There would be no fence between the parking lot and Mr. Jim's. There would be curbing so
Oh.
people can't drive through.
Oh, absolutely.
With
No,
no
I
screening.
agree. That needs to be done.
Yes, we need, and well, that's a second question. Do you want to fully, what is the question? Curbing or do you want curb stops?
I'd put curb stop.
So, and we've talked about that being more easier for people to get back and forth if you don't curb it, if you
Right.
got wagons coming from Haslett Feed. We also show a connection that's not on here yet, but it will be bid that way. If you see the tap trail on the south side of that picture, there is a connection made so that people could, again, walk down the tap trail and then come straight into that parking lot if they had a wagon or a trailer or whatever. So it would be a concrete
Do we
connection.
want more than one entrance to that parking lot?
People will cut
That
through.
seems to me like that's going to be a cut through if we don't block it.
Well, and that end is blocked. That's only a connection. That's not out on. That's drainage right there, Randall. There would be a sidewalk out there, but not an entrance. This only has one entrance because it would become a cut through if we give it another.
Right. That's what I thought you were saying, that they were going to have to put an entrance out on the
No, sir. No, we would
156.
just have the entrance off of Hurley. Yeah, pedestrian only off of the tap trail.
Oh, I don't have any problem with that. Yeah.
I have a question. There has been concern about people backing in to our fence or whatever structure put between the house, okay? Well, why can't we put a sign up there that tells people they cannot back? They can only forward park, have to back out.
I don't know what would be enforceable. We can always put a sign up that says no
They
back
shouldn't
in.
have
But
to back in any direction. The parking lot should be such that they can pull into their parking space, and when they're done, back out of their parking space and pull straight out onto the road.
There are people who back in. I'm
always.
sorry, but that's
There are
the
some
truth.
people-
There are people that will back in.
Okay, let me
And
ask,
so what my point is, if we're concerned about this being hit over here, put a sign out, no backing in.
nobody's,
5-foot buffer, so it
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
nobody,
Then why are we worried about it?
or not?
So
I
like,
didn't know about
so,
that.
so if somebody's in there late and they leave, their lights are not gonna shine into that lady's house.
Yeah.
So that's the reason. And as far as the backing,
There's no problem.
yeah,
John Thomas, or fence or structure, yeah.
Brick wall.
yeah, I don't know that that's gonna be, well, I know they do that, but that's on the driveway side. That's on the driveway side, so.
We can't hear y'all unless you speak into the microphones.
Sorry.
If it becomes an issue or a concern, we could also add curb stops in addition to the 5-foot buffer. If we get a tailgate that somehow bumps the wall, we can fix that going forward. But
Okay.
we don't anticipate it being a
Yeah,
problem.
I don't know that that's gonna be a huge issue.
Question-
With that much buffer, I just don't see it.
Question on surfacing, the thought of a future use, the asphalt has been discussed. Do you prefer concrete, asphalt, add alternate? Again,
I would actually prefer the asphalt
do what?
because it's gonna go quicker.
Can't hear you.
He doesn't have a mic.
No. If you want to see it, or if you want to picture it in your mind, because everybody pretty much has been here and seen it, the parking lot here at City Hall, that is the same 5-foot buffer zone from the back of the curb over there to that fence. And this parking lot, even though if you go with just straight, no curbing around it, if you do the stops, which we did anyway, just because of the same thing, they have to, you put that's another 1.5 feet in. So that's as far as a wheel can get before, so they'd have to run over all that to
Yeah.
ever hit the fence. So
Even
that's
a
pretty good
super,
distance.
yeah, even a Super Duty is not
Even
gonna
a
back past
full
that.
length truck with the tailgate down can't hit it. Now you come out here with a bobtail, 1.5 ton, well, I can't say about that, but regular stuff won't hit it.
Okay, no, I'm not concerned about that part. Anything?
Yeah, I want to
Can I
know
get
what,
a clarification?
I
I'm sorry.
for asphalt.
It's just easier and quicker and cheaper.
And how does that,
It's not any cheaper.
Asphalt, asphalt.
I want.
We're
concrete.
talking about cost of materials right now.
Yeah,
For those
that's all
online.
we're talking about.
We got those online or can't hear. So
Wouldn't the asphalt, from an aesthetic standpoint, wouldn't the concrete look nicer?
Sure. I mean, I don't care. I
agree, yes.
just don't want to spend any more than we have to on a parking lot.
Can I clarify something about the west property line? The head-in parking that faces Mr. Jim's. Did I hear y'all say that there's not going to be a curb? There's not gonna
There'll be bump stops like there are out here in this parking lot next to this building.
I think I know what you're talking about. Concrete, semi-rounded.
Yes.
Okay, well, isn't that not something that someone could drive over or not?
Well, I can drive over a curb. I've driven over stuff bigger than a curb bigger than a curb out in the cow pasture. I mean,
Yeah,
anybody can drive over anything.
I mean, are we actually then protecting the lot from people cutting across from the property next door, as has been the case in the past?
From the property next door and from cutting through. I think the bump stops are going to solve most of that and if they don't, then maybe we need to put up a 3-foot tall pipe or something, a rail. But we'll have to deal with that later. Let's see if this works. Because that's another expense, and obviously we don't want to just spend a ton of money on this. What you got, Kathleen?
If we're going to, I prefer concrete. If we're going to do concrete, can't we just have a concrete curb?
If it will probably be curbed anyway for drainage. So again, you can still drive over a curb and a curb stop, but there will be a barrier there. Again, without going with a 3-foot pipe, that hits you at the knees to stop people. I get this will solve all but those people who are just down and determined to go across.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we'll deal with that. If that happens, then we'll do something else. We'll stop it one way or the other.
This may be an ignorant question, but what is the parking lot for?
It will be for cars. I've got a smart aleck back here.
Motorcycle.
It'll be for anybody going to Mai Tai, going to the pizza place, whenever we have events out here, people to park in. It's the best use of that small lot in order for us to do something with it so that it's not just a dirt and grass out there.
And again, it works for everyone in Old Town, and especially up on 156. But it's something of a deciding factor, if you will, for Mai Tai. It was really important to them to have additional parking close in. That was the initial driver, and then we thought about those other businesses that need that extra parking that we hope as business
Steve,
increases.
this was discussed 2 or 3 meetings back. Mai Tai, when Kathleen was talking to Mai Tai, they had brought up if they bought their business, they would like to buy that lot and build a parking lot because they don't have enough people or enough parking for their customers. So we decided that it was more beneficial to the city and everybody concerned if we build the parking lot and everybody can just park there. That way we've got control of it.
We can allow food trucks.
I'm sorry?
Is there going to be food trucks allowed?
I don't know. Hadn't even thought about that. At this point, I'm going to say no. This is just for people to park their car, to run in and eat, come over here to the pizza place and, pick up a pizza or go to the Easter egg hunt or whatever is going on.
Cool.
Steve, it's also going to be parking at the trailhead of our tap trail.
That's right.
You can come and park here and walk the whole trail. There's no place at the other end yet, but this is a start, right?
Cool.
Right.
I like it.
And this covers a lot of bases. Okay. So I think anything else?
Except for the wall. Again, are we wanting to price it full masonry, or are we wanting to look at brick columns and panels between of some kind, or just have them price it both ways? Do you have a preference?
Do we have to can we not do a stockade style fence? Is that not admissible?
Not in the, well, if we're, EDC can do whatever council allows them to do, but typically it has been brick pillars have been required in Old Town with the paneling between as a minimum, or full masonry.
Well, I really don't want to do full masonry because that's going to be really expensive. I'd rather do the if we have to, the pillars.
I think we ought to consider the concrete paving too, because that's a requirement that we would make anybody else do in the city.
Yeah,
in fact, the
I
city
think
did.
we already decided concrete was going to be what we do.
I mean, I don't mind getting both quotes, and then we can say, oh my gosh, and maybe get permission to do asphalt. But when we extended the parking over by the library, when we put in that new parking lot where Frisbee's business used to be, it's concrete.
Okay, I think that's what we're going to do.
So we're bidding concrete, we're bidding curbed, and the wall, we're talking brick pillars and perhaps board on board.
Yeah.
So that the lights won't shine through and it'll look good.
Okay, that's fine. And we're going to get bids on all this, and you're going to bring that like
That'll
next
come back
time?
to you. That's the direction we were looking for.
I have a question though. So on the so the side that will have a pedestrian exit onto the tap trail, because on the drawing it looks like it's a wide open space, will that, like that 28 feet, will that have some kind of curbing that, okay, so people can't literally just decide that they're going to drive over
It's
that.
right.
Okay.
It's designed that way so people can back and get out of their parking spot. It sort of looks like it might be an opening, but it's not, and we will have that curbed.
What about landscaping?
Well, I think right now we're just talking about the bids on the getting it built
and
so that
again,
it's usable. We can decide about doing landscaping later, I assume, can't we?
Yes. I mean, we can make it part of this project if you want. I can actually have Mike put that together, or we can come back later after we get those bids and then decide what to do. Y'all's
Okay.
preference.
I'm okay either way. I just thought we had to have that in place as part of the project.
I don't think so. I
We
think
really
for
don't.
a parking lot, we're
It's-
not.
It's a little bit different. One, it's EDC and a downtown parking. So again, I'll look at that as we come back, but there's not much area left to landscape. If you look at it, I mean, we might be able to get a tree and a couple of shrubs, but we'll look at it.
Okay. All right. So do you have everything you need for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, Kathleen, did you have anything else?
No, I don't. I'm
Okay.
finished.
So
Thank you.
Kathleen is done. So we are done with number 7. All right. Discuss, consider, and act regarding a business improvement grant program. So who's going to talk about that?
You want me to just do that one or to Kathleen?
You mean by- okay,
Number
you
8.
mean Anita Huff?
Oh, I don't know. Is somebody applying?
Yes, that is
Yes.
the one that we met on.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Steve, can you put anything up regarding her sign, Anita Huff? It's in, it's on page 35.
There
in
we go.
your- Can y'all see it? Do y'all know what I'm talking?
Yep.
Okay. This was presented to us as a grant they want a grant from us to build what they call a monument sign. And Thomas and I talked about it. John Thomas and I were on the big committee. We discussed such things. And I'd like to point out, if you notice, this is not a monument sign. So I do not recommend us taking part in any of this.
Didn't we decide at one point that these had to be like masonry and all of that?
A true monument
Yes.
sign like the vet next door. That has been discussed. It's not written in the policy, but that has been what has taken place. Y'all have not funded anything that was not a true monument sign that has masonry surrounding it.
That is what we have pushed forward in the
Right.
city, is the
So
monument sign.
if instead of these steel posts, which this looks like it has, if they put brick or masonry rock on that, would that qualify? Because this is going to come up. This is going to get asked. That's going to be the first question.
Well, I say, we tell her no, it's not a monument sign. And then she can come back and show us what she wants to put in.
Okay, but all I'm saying is she's going to come back. She's probably going to ask you, because that's what I would do. I'd say, okay, if I just brick those up, will that be good? You know, that's what we need to decide, because it's going to come up. And
Randall?
Yeah.
The other thing that we that we don't like about this sign is that it's not telling anyone the businesses that are in that building. This is an advertising piece for Hcedc Executive Suite.
okay, right.
Right. It is a leasing sign as
Okay.
opposed to, again, we discussed if you had a monument sign that had panels for the businesses that were located in there, that might be more of the spirit.
Okay. No,
of
I
the
agree.
program.
I agree. That sounds good, and that sounds reasonable. So everybody's in agreement with that?
And I'm assuming that a monument sign is similar to what's outside of the medical complex there in Laterra.
And it
Yes.
has the panels on it, does it not?
And it
Yes.
can even have one of the panels as a leasing,
Yeah,
you
as
know,
the
as
bigger
part-
panel.
right, you can have
Okay.
that as part of the sign, but it's not the entirety of the sign.
Right, okay. Well, I just didn't want to send Kathleen out without all the information. Yeah,
Thad, do our city ordinances define a monument sign? Because I feel like it probably does. I feel like that when people have come in for variances, David might know the answer to this, really. They've had
Does
to,
it define, Trish? Again, the policy does not state specifically monument sign as being what is required. So, but that has been the direction the board has gone. So maybe we look at the policy sometime in the near future. But yes, monument sign is defined by the city. And again, it's like the vet sign you see on the screen. So that the answer is yes.
so if we tell her that it's got to be a monument sign, then she has some guidelines to go by.
Yes, we can actually send that. I can send that to you, Kathleen, if you would like it. We'll send you those. So,
That's what we want to see.
so we have a vision, and we'll use that and send Kathleen information, and so we can get back with Anita.
okay, so we're gonna send the sign that you're looking at right now to Kathleen so she can take it with her to explain what we're looking for in order to help pay for it.
On this one, would you like to? We were learning as we go. The technical way to handle this one would be to postpone it either until the next meeting or until staff is able to work out with Ms. Anita.
I think that's probably the appropriate thing to do also is for us
Okay,
to
I don't know
postpone.
how long this will take because to my knowledge, he no longer lives in Texas.
She does not. So again, it could be a postponement until Kathleen gets back with me and we put it back on the agenda. So the motion could be postponed until that event.
Okay, so if I would entertain a motion to postpone.
Could I have some more discussion around John's point in
Sure.
that the sign they're requesting is for the real estate or the owner to rent out that property. It has nothing to do with the signage for the businesses that are located within the property.
That is
Perhaps.
correct. That's what we're not going to do. We're not going to do that. We're going to give her the option on this. I assume you can see this sign that Steven's got up. We're going to give her that as an option to do, as opposed to what she wants to do.
And if they had extra panels in that sign, she could put lease space available or something in one of those.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that might solve what she wants to do as well as what we'd like to see.
That makes everybody happy, and it's within the standard that we have been trying to set.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have anything? Okay, so get a motion to postpone this until we get further information, please.
I move that we continue this item until Kathleen has either a new proposal from the property owner or the property owner decides that she does not need this.
Okay, so that's a motion to postpone. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, John seconded. I need to get all my people back up here, Stephen, so I can see them. Okay, so we've got a motion and we've got a second to do a postponement on this item. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. We're good on that one. Okay, Kathleen, now, did you have anything else? Okay, so we're good on that. So we're down to, let's see, updates on current EDC activities.
I'm going to skip to the February report since mine are always aggregate. We haven't had any activity to note on I-35. I mean, there's a lot of interest, but it's still logistics. But there are a lot of people looking now that those roads are starting to take shape. The last month we met with the website group, yes, to redo the city site as well as the EDC site. That's team is made up of me, Katrina, and Shannon will be the ones most interacting with those websites going forward. Again, the whole thought process is we're going to strip that down to the basics. We've got the analytics now. We know where people are going most often, and we're trying to make those a lot easier to navigate. Hassel Parkway right-of-way, Monday night. Council approved the NISD agreement, the revised one. It separated the issue of impact fees and the right-of-way that we, should have had 4 or 5 months ago had those not been combined by their attorney, I might add, not ours. And on that same night, the Board of Trustees passed the same agreement. So it is signed on our side and it has been sent over to the school district for their signatures, and that will resolve our right-of-way for Haslett Parkway. And Haslett Feed, we talked about that one. Again, it's sitting in the title company waiting to close. As soon as I get that resolution signed, it should be set to close within the next week, and that'll be done.
Have you got it already printed out and ready? I can sign it tonight. All right.
My printer has not worked all afternoon. I'm not sure what's going on. Actually, I can connect to none of the printers at City Hall right now. So hopefully Katrina's is working. I did. Oh, that is all on my official report. If y'all have any questions, I'll try and answer them.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Thad? I don't see anybody raising or waving or anything, so I'm assuming we don't. Okay. Okay, now, do we have executive session?
We also have a report, an additional report on Haslett Parkway, separate as requested by Trish.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't.
I shipped David in not just for his looks, but for his knowledge on this project.
Okay.
You go into the mic?
When he pulls the big map up, it's easier for me to look at it from here, and the pictures and all the other stuff is easier for me to see from here. Yep, that's the main one that most people, you can kind of tell where we're talking about. And of course, now that it's a month beyond when this was originally done, I have some additional things that I can talk about too. But mostly it's to bring you up, and some of these pictures will show some of these things in our zone 5.2, which is the portion from Harmon Road to 35W. We already have asphalt underlayment over a portion of it from stations 605, which is, you can read that little map. There's a 600 right there, just by that line right there, out to station 82, 182, which is right at the highway. We have asphalt now. Not all of it asphalt, but we got asphalt underlayment over about half of it. Their newest update is they're doing the lime series right now, finishing it up and mixing, so they should start the asphalt. So we'll actually have the entirety of the asphalt portions done over there probably within the next month. Those should be completed, so it'll start looking more and more like it's a real road. You'll start seeing asphalt whole sections that you can see down. Right now, the newest thing is around those culverts there in that same zone. They're installing the rubble riprap around all those head walls, so they're getting closer to portions of it kind of being in that almost finished portion, getting to the point of eventually the concrete will be coming sooner now than later. And 3.2 section, we have the same thing. They've done asphalt underlayment under that one from just a small portion, 165 to 140 because of the bridge, basically, which the bridge now update on it is that the bridge there on that one culvert is, they've got the caps on it and they've started the rubble riprap around those head walls. So we're moving ahead on that one. 4.1 and 4.2, which is Intermodal Parkway. They have the asphalt underlayment over 2/3 of that section. The only portions not are the end pieces up at Intermodal and Transport and across the bridge. There is nothing on those yet, but the bridge there, they're doing the caps on top of the head walls, and we saw the first beams being delivered to the site. So we're getting closer and closer to actually having a bridge ready to start putting the top on the bridge and finishing the bridge out. In 3.1, which keeps going out to the west from that intersection. Again, we got more asphalt underlayment, quite a bit, all the way from 135 to 122 stations. And again, that one, they are about to cap that bridge end walls will be capped hopefully before the end of this week. Depending on anything else goes wrong. The weather the other night kind of stalled things out a little bit, but it's not too bad. So they're hoping to cap those off and start bringing in the beams for that bridge. The sewer line in that zone, all through there, all the way to the end at zone 2, have all been completed. So the sewer line is in there ready for somebody to pick me up and start using it. It's actually, everything has been passed. All of it is prepared, ready to go. So that one is in good shape. Water line is to the end of zone 2, almost. We stop a little short. There's the one lot that belongs to the Northwest ISD. We stop at their fence line right now. So the water line is to there. And now that things seem to be back moving on that next portion, they'll get started soon. Once their underground contractor is pulled off, he's over working another job. He will be back sometime towards the end of next month, and they will start the next section where they will lower the water lines there at Schoolhouse Road, which will be a pretty massive project there, because if anybody knows that exact location, that's right there in that big tall hill. So that's a pretty big project portion. It's not a lot of pipe, but it's just that height grade area right there. That's such a difference in grade that it's going to take a while to get that one done. And that's it. Now that we've got the other property easements for the right of way, we can get started on phase 2 and start that part of the project. If there's anything else, any questions you got or something, just let me know. I can see what I can do.
Question. David, I have a question about that map. I'm sorry, Stephen, is it possible for you to go back? Okay, so on your little report, you said something about the bridge in zone 2. Is that that little culvert thingy just east of Schoolhouse Road?
That thing that's pointing to right there, that is where we'll be, for us, it'll be the Buffalo Creek Bridge.
Okay.
That one there is a full-blown bridge structure. That one will have 2 end walls, grade beams going across the whole thing. The same, most of the other bridges, we only have 2 that you really call true bridge. That one and the one on Intermodal, those both are true bridges that have full I-beam. The other pieces the other big culverts are technically bridges also, because of the way they're designed. That's what they call them, but to me, they're big box culvert, but they call them bridges also.
Okay,
Part of
so the one
that design. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so I was looking at the wrong one. The one you're talking about is is it west of Schoolhouse Road or east of Schoolhouse Road, David?
All of those are east.
So which one is the Buffalo Creek one? Is it that first one east of Schoolhouse?
That big long one there in zone 2.
Can you see him moving
Can
the
you see
cursor?
the cursor moving?
No, oh, wait a minute, hang on a second. Okay, I'm there now, got it. I had zoomed in and had lost that lower part. I see it now. Okay, that makes complete sense. Thank you,
Yeah, right there where that red dot is.
got it.
And part of those decisions were driven by, remember, we had to pay for those mitigation credits for
Yes.
damages to the wetlands. So they made those decisions on bridge versus culverts in part because of the cost and the damage that would be done to those wetlands.
I remember that now, thank you.
I have a question.
Yeah, ma'am.
So Hazlitt Parkway is going to be asphalt?
No. What they do, this is part of the construction. They go in, you get it down the dirt. If they pull all the grass, get it to grade, they mix lime to stabilize the clay soil here. Then they lay 4 inches of asphalt on top of that. Then they'll come in and lay out all the steel on top of that. And then the concrete is poured over the top of that. That asphalt works as a cushion and to help keep cracking from coming up from below in the roadway. So by the time you end up finished with this, you're talking about this thing stacked up this high. It's about a foot thick from top to bottom, counting all the asphalt and everything put together.
It's basically a
So
road over a
On top of the
road.
asphalt, they will put rebar?
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
part of the
they'll
cost.
Oh yeah, they'll do all of this asphalt. Now they have this completely smooth, perfect flat surface to lay that rebar in the chairs that hold the rebar up on. And everything's nice and clean and level. And then they pour the concrete over the top of it.
And it's 12 inches of concrete on the L that's
Yes.
designed for the super heavies. And then it's 90 inches of concrete over the asphalt on the remainder of the project.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have a question for David while we've got him here? Okay, thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
You're welcome.
All right, 9.3 is Economic Development Monthly Report. You did all that before? Okay, so we're good. Now we're ready for executive session. It is 6:44. I mean 6:54, excuse me. I can't.
Do we need to get a passcode to get into executive session? Did y'all get passcodes to get into executive session? Ruthie, Steve? We
No,
can't join them.
I got a separate link, but
Okay, that's,
Okay, you guys will need to log in with the executive session link that I
So I
sent
don't-
out earlier today.
did
I
you
don't
send one
have
to
it.
me? I don't
Yes,
either.
I sent that. The right one. Okay, hold on one second. I'm gonna resend it. The one that I sent to you.
You didn't know whether I was gonna be in it or not.
Okay, so it should be the one that said.
Okay. Is that the main one?
Steve, you should have it in that email that I forwarded you.
yeah, I do.
Okay, good. So y'all have to, okay, I'm gonna forward this to Ruthie and,
Will you send it to my home That's where I've got my email open, if that's possible.
Yes, I'm gonna do that right now.
What a gal.
Okay, that just went out to Trish and Ruthie. Steve, you have it, so you have to log out of this one and click in with the other one, and you can't get in the other one until you,
Okay.
log out of this one. Okay, Steve got it.
I'm still waiting. Are you still waiting?
I'm still waiting.
Okay.
Okay, looks like I just got one. Let me see if it's got it in there. Yeah, I've got it, Ruthie. So hopefully you
Okay.
have it.
No, mine still hasn't come in yet.
She sent it to both your home and your Haslett.org address, it looks like.
Well, it still hasn't arrived yet. You go ahead. If it comes, I'll join in. If not, I won't.
Oh, okay. I'll look for you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
If anyone's talking, we cannot hear you.
We're chit chatting. We're waiting for Stephen to get ready.
Okay, the regular session is starting again now at 7:07. The next item, consider an act on any items from the executive session. We don't have any. So we'll move on to number 12. Consider an act regarding items to be placed on the next agenda. What have we got there, Thad?
From this meeting, I'm going to hopefully bring back both a bid for the parking lot with some ad alternates, as well as an agreement for y'all to consider for Mai Tai.
Okay. Okay, and does anybody else have anything? Anybody on video? Do y'all have anything that you need to ask? Okay, Trish?
So I really enjoyed David's update on Hazlet Parkway, and I wonder if it would be possible to get those on a regular basis. It's changing so fast now. Is it possible that we could ask for this to be monthly report? I hate to keep David out another evening, but this is the only way that we're going to get this kind of information.
Sure. Trish, here's the thing.
The written reports are in council packets, and I don't mind doing that, but I would not want to tax David with another night meeting monthly. If we all want to do quarterly.
Yeah, I'm thinking
I mean,
quarterly.
we're really thin right now, and I would not want to. I could certainly run it by the mayor on staffing, but again, on a monthly basis, I think that would be difficult for a full presentation. But the written can certainly be included monthly.
Then we
Is that all
can can we ask questions if we have a question?
Sure.
Yeah.
You can always email us as well. When you get that written information, if you have questions, we're still city staff. Absolutely. You may email us at any time, any questions you may have.
Well, see, David's presentation was so much more in depth than the report. But yeah, maybe perhaps quarterly he could come in and tell us what to give us the bigger picture. That would be lovely.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. I think we're done with that then. So if no one,
I
Ruthie?
have
oh,
something.
I'm sorry, Rick.
That's okay.
I looked
I
away.
just wanted to let you know that for the month of April and May, I will be in North Carolina on the meeting days for those 2 months, but I can still do virtual. So
Okay.
unless
That's
there's
fine.
a
Are you going
technical
up there
problem.
for a festival or something?
No, going back to stay with my mom for a month.
Oh, okay. Is she doing okay?
She's 96, so okay is a relative term when you get to be 96.
I get it. I get it. Okay, well, if no one else has anything else, we're gonna go right on to number 13 here, and I'm gonna call this meeting adjourned at 7:11. Thank y'all for showing up.
Thank you, Randall. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.